So you've seen what it's like to work in an investment bank, and you're possibly considering applying to a first year programme. Next, we're going to help you make an excellent application that really stands out. But first, let's have a look at a first year programme with a difference, UBS Horizons.
Well, Horizons is something totally unique, I think, to UBS. It's a scheme that invests in 5 or 6 or 7 students since from there kind of for me it was from first year. If you're on a 4-year course, you get involved in second year.
So as part of the Horizons programme, we had the opportunity to go on a rally expedition. We could choose where we went, different places that Rally operates, and I chose to go to Costa Rica.
I was actually living among people that they were just the second generation of their family that weren't nomadic tribesmen. And me and my group were the first white people they'd ever seen.
We go in and we live actually with the community and go and build this school, and it's just a fantastic, rewarding experience.
The other part of the trip is something equally different. It's basically you're thrown into the wild and told that we're going to give you a fresh challenge every day, but we're not going to tell you what the challenge is.
Also, as part of it, you do a survival phase, which is where they'll give you a piece of plastic tarp, say string it up in a tree, here's some fish, go and look after yourself for a while, which was difficult. It kind of, you have to work together as a team and kind of stick together and make sure you're, it develops your people skills, because you're put in a very difficult situation, and some people kind of react, not so well to that because they feel under stress. But you're kind of having to deal with the people and trying to manage your group so you actually get a dry place to sleep and a good meal and things is interesting.
I think the most amazing moment was having finished this trek in the mountains. Our home for the night was kind of a little meadow almost, surrounded by valleys, and just standing up there and knowing what we'd done that day, and having a few hours to sit down. It felt amazing and quite exhilarating.
The best bit of the trip was probably when we realised we were going to finish the school, because there were a lot of delays with materials and things that meant that it looked like we weren't going to complete. And so once we got everything together, we really worked hard. We got there as soon as it was light and worked through until dinner time.
It was one of the most surreal, challenging, but also incredible weeks of my life.
I think the most important thing that you get out of an experience like this, where you're going to be put into lots of situations that you've just never had to deal with before, is that you learn that even though something seems kind of impossible and really difficult, you probably can do it if you kind of put your mind to it. 5 weeks it's a lengthy period of time, but I grew so much more than I thought I ever could in 5 weeks.
I think I gained a sense of perspective. I mean, it's a difficult thing to say, but when you've go through these incredibly tough challenges, and they are difficult, afterwards you kind of look back and if you find yourself in another challenging situation, you can look back on the time when I was in Costa Rica after I climbed that mountain or completed the school or whatever it was, and you can think, this thing isn't so difficult actually.
Another thing which I saw early on in my trip and have really noticed since I got home is stop being worried about what you don't know or what's coming. I think I've got the ability now to emanate a positive mindset in whatever challenge is thrown at me, and I can definitely imagine that comes in useful when stressed at work or when you've got a big deadline coming. I think it's a really useful life skill to have for your career and all areas of life, really.
So you can see, programs like Horizons give you far more than just an insight into the workings of the bank. But places on these programs are highly competitive. So what advice is there on how to make a good application?
If you're applying for a first year scheme, it's really important to sell yourself and sell your skills. So take some time to sit down and think about what you've done and also what you've learned from your experiences.
I think more than trying to tick specific activities that you need to do, there's no rule. It's just when you prepare an interview or an application, just know how to speak about what you've done.
Showing that you make a decision about something that's interesting to you, set a course of action, and achieve something that's interesting. That's what sets your application apart.
Firstly, be completely honest. Don't dare lie. I don't think it's a good idea. I've got friends that have been caught out with this kind of thing, where I've said one thing on an application and said something different in a phone interview, and it's just, they're not looked at again by that bank.
What I talked about mostly were my experiences in a students' union, which was basically organizing parties for a lot of students. But it still teaches you a lot because it's about teamwork, it's about interacting with proper companies, etc., etc.
The most important thing is to show that you're really interested. So find out as much as you can and do your research, and then when you're in the interview you can really show your enthusiasm and explain why you want a place and why you deserve a place.
Secondly, when it comes to like answer boxes, I was very lucky. I was given advice by a friend to fill them, write what you can, because my inkling, I've been told in the past that I tend to give very short answers and try not really expand on things, whereas with these things, sell yourself, give them a chance to actually see what you're about. Don't waffle, but actually try and come up with a considered point and fill in these things rather than just saying I like sports. Expand on that, say what you're into, say what it's about, say what you've learned, say what challenges you face, things like that.
It's essential to be able to explain why you want to go on the programme and what you hope to gain from it, and to be able to draw on past experiences and demonstrate your employability. The best of luck.